Hello, dear all. I really hope you are doing so well and that you are fine. Today, we're going to finish Julius Caesar. This is the last lesson of Julius Caesar. But let's first remind ourselves of what happened last time. I really hope that you still remember. Of course, as you know, Brutus spoke to the crowd and he told them that he and his group killed Caesar for the good of Rome and its people, and the crowd cheered for him. They were very happy. Then Antony spoke to the people. He read Caesar's will to them, and Caesar had left them money that was mentioned in the will. The people cheered for Antony and Caesar. They wanted to kill Brutus, Cassius, and the ones who killed Caesar and burned down their houses. Octavius arrived in Rome and joined Antony with his army to get revenge for Caesar. Okay, that was the part that we discussed last time. This time we're going to finish the whole play. But first, I want you to pause this video as usual. Go to your readers, page 49. Start reading from the bottom half of this page after the dot until page 52, which is the end of this play. And on the CD that you have, I want you to listen to the last two tracks of Julius Caesar. These are the tracks which are reading the part that we are discussing today, or the part which marks the end of this play. Okay, now let's go to the events of the last part of this play. This part starts with Brutus and Cassius knew that they had to fight. Of course, there is no escape. They took their soldiers up into the hills outside Rome. As you know, they left the city. They started to prepare their plan, and at the end, they agreed to go down to Philippi to meet their enemy. This picture shows that they were discussing the plan and they agreed to meet the enemy, Octavius and Antony, in Philippi. After Cassius left, Brutus stayed in his tent and he couldn't sleep. He tried to read, but suddenly he saw Caesar's ghost. The ghost told him that he would see him again at Philippi. So we see another ghost here in this play, but this time it's the ghost of Julius Caesar. He appeared to Brutus to tell him that he would see him again in the battlefield at Philippi. After that, Antony, Octavius, and their soldiers were waiting at Philippi for the enemy. Brutus told Cassius that if they lost the battle, he would never go back to Rome as prisoner. Both men said goodbye in case they didn't meet again. So Brutus did not want to go back to Rome as a prisoner in case they lost the fight. He was a proud man. He wanted to finish what he started with Caesar's murder. He would win or die. No third option. Both of them said their goodbye in case they didn't meet again. The fight began, and at one time it seemed that Brutus was winning, and another time it seemed that Antony and Octavius were winning. So in the fight, each party appeared to be the winner. Cassius' soldiers began to fall back, and Antony's soldiers began to burn the tents of Cassius' soldiers. So Cassius began to lose the fight. The tents of his soldiers were being burnt down. Cassius saw that the fight was lost. He asked one of his soldiers to kill him, and he did. So Cassius knew that he lost this fight, this battle. He didn't want to be a prisoner, as we said, so he asked one of his soldiers to kill him. Brutus found Cassius' dead body. He was very sad about the death of his friend. he remembered the ghost of Caesar, and he realized that the fight was lost. So Brutus found out about Cassius' death. He remembered the ghost of Caesar and thought that even while Caesar was dead, he was still powerful. He had more power than them. Brutus realized that the battle was over and that they lost. Brutus took out his sword. He ordered a soldier to hold it out, then he threw himself on it. So Brutus killed himself by throwing himself on his sword, the same way Cassius died. When the fight ended, Antony and Octavius looked at Brutus' dead body, and Antony said that Brutus had been the finest Roman of them all. He had only thought about the good of people. Antony knew that Brutus was truly a good man. He did all of this out of his love and fear for Rome, unlike Cassius, who was very jealous of Caesar's power and who hated Caesar. So deep down inside Brutus, he was a good man. He didn't deserve all of this. Okay, this marks the end of our play, Julius Caesar. Again, it's a tragedy, as you can see. Everyone dies, nearly everyone dies at the end, as we saw in Hamlet, because it's a tragedy. And in tragedies, Shakespeare kills all the characters in the play, or most of the characters in the play, because it has to end in a sad way. Okay, now that we are done with the play itself, we need to look at the important quotations of this last part. Okay, today must end the work that began with Caesar's death. You will find this quotation on page 47. Who do you think said this? Exactly. From the picture here, you can see that it was Brutus who said this. So, Brutus said this to Cassius while they were preparing for the fight against Antony and Octavius. Brutus decided that he would never go back as prisoner if they lost their fight. After that, they said goodbye in case they never met again. The last quotation we have here is, "This was the finest Roman of them all." You will find it on page 52, the last page of this play. As you can see here, this quote was said by Antony to Octavius after they won the battle. They were looking at Brutus' dead body, and Antony said that Brutus had been the only one who had thought about the good of Rome and the people. He hadn't been jealous of Caesar's power, of course, unlike Cassius, who was a very evil man. Okay, this again marks the end of our important quotations presentation. Now we are going to solve some exercises on this play. Now let's have some fun. Okay, the first question says, what is the plan to murder Julius Caesar? Let's put these sentences in order. Which one do you think is the first when it comes to the plan of killing Caesar? Exactly. It is Decius tells Caesar that people are waiting for him. This is number one. Number two, what do you think is number two? Excellent. It is letter F. Caesar goes with Decius to the great building to discuss important matters. This is number two. What's next? Exactly. Good job. Brutus and Cassius and their friends wait for Caesar. This is number three. What about number 4? I can hear you say the correct answer. Exactly. Metellus asks Caesar to bring his brother back to Rome. What about number 5? Yes, while Caesar talks to Metellus, Brutus and Cassius and their friends get closer to Caesar. What about the following one? Good job. At the same time, a man in the group stops Mark Antony and begins to talk to him. Number 7. Yes, it's letter G. Before Metellus finishes talking to Caesar, men begin pushing their knives into him. This is number 7. And of course, number 8 is Brutus joins the others and pushes his knife into Caesar. Excellent. So now we have the plan put in order. The second question, here we should match. Number 1. Two important Romans, Brutus and Cassius. Exactly, were worried about Caesar. They were worried about Caesar's power. Number 2. Wild animals. Exactly, wild animals ran through the streets of the city of Rome. And if you remember, this was a bad sign. Number 3. Many men, exactly, many men were planning Caesar's death. Number 4. Brutus, good job. Brutus thought they only needed to kill Caesar. Number 5. Cassius. Excellent. Cassius was afraid of Mark Antony. Number 6. Calpurnia. Calpurnia was very frightened. Excellent job. Now let's go to the following one. Match again. Number 7. Julius Caesar. Exactly. Julius Caesar went every day to the great building to discuss important matters. Number 8. Mark Antony. Good job. Mark Antony did not or didn't notice what was happening to Caesar. Number 9. A servant. Excellent. A servant was sent by Mark Antony to know why Caesar was killed. What about number 10? The people. Exactly. The people were all very excited and angry after Mark Antony's speech. Number 11. Cassius and Brutus soldiers exactly began to fall back. The last one, number 12, Mark Antony and Octavius. Good job. Look down at Brutus' dead body. Thank you. Now, the following question, which is the right word? Number 1, we will choose here. Number 1, if Caesar becomes king, he'll have less or more power. Exactly, more power. Excellent. Number 2, Cassius thinks they should kill Mark Antony because he will be dangerous or afraid. Great job, because he will be dangerous. 3. Calpurnia is afraid of Caesar's life, because she had a bad dream or letter. Great job, because she had a bad dream. 4. Brutus is the first or last man to push his knife into Caesar. Excellent. He was the last man to push his knife into Caesar. Number 5. Brutus or Mark Antony tells the people about Caesar's will. It's Mark Antony. Good. 6. The crowd becomes very angry or unhappy. Becomes very angry. Great. 7. Antony's soldiers Burn or steal the tents of Cassius' soldiers? Excellent. Burn the tents. 8. Brutus throws himself on a fire or a sword? Excellent. On a sword. We will answer these questions now. Number 1 says, who is Julius Caesar's best friend? Of course, it's Mark Antony. Great. What promise does Mark Antony make to the dead Caesar? He promises to he promises that he won't rest until Brutus and Cassius and their friends are dead. Excellent. Well, who do the crowd think was the best speaker? Great job. It was Mark Antony. Yes. Why are Mark Antony and Octavius in a strong position for the fight? Good, because they have more soldiers than Brutus and Cassius. Excellent. Now, this brings us to the end of our exercises and the end of the whole play. I really hope that you enjoyed it very much as I enjoyed it. I enjoyed teaching it. And I really hope that you start searching for more works by William Shakespeare and read about this great playwright. And if you have any questions, please bring them to class. See you next time, inshallah.